Welcome back to a leadership moment. Over the summer I read a book by Dan Heath. He shares leadership stories throughout the book and talks about this concept, this mindset about going upstream and thinking about attacking problems before they arise. And he talks about 3 issues that need to come up to prevent downstream thinking of how we sometimes only wait for some problems to actually happen instead of us moving upstream to prevent them from happening in the first place. And one of the things that he talks about is this idea about problem blindness. It's a great story that he shares about Chicago public schools. In 1998, they had a 53% graduation rate. And at the time, the educators, I even think the community, probably even the parents probably thought it's just the way it's supposed to be. That's just the way it is. That's how our community has it. About half of the students will graduate and there's nothing you can do about it. And they just went about life. And it took leadership to come along to say, we're gonna do something about it, to actually move upstream. So with a lot of intense work and strategic thinking around that, they put together support systems, did some mentoring programs early on when the students first got to high school, had some data-driven approaches, collaborated together to wrap around not just the students, but the families and how they're gonna attack it, and actually found out they went from about 53% in 1998 to about 78% in 2018. Wow, such a huge gain. And it was this idea about really starting to tell themselves that really we don't have to just simply exist about the way things are supposed to be, but we can actually think about overcoming that. That story reminds me of a leadership law that John Maxwell talks about in his Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. He starts out with this idea about the law of the lid. And so often we tend to think that our potential is set at a certain limit, and then there's nothing we can do above that. The potential of our leadership can only go so far. And then we find out that we've almost created our own system of capturing or preventing ourselves from going any further beyond that. We have this law of the lid that we can't go above what we think is possible. And I challenge you this week to think about that. What is your lid? How has that lid been set? Sometimes we get into a stalemate of this is the way we've always done it. We get into that problem mindset, blindness mindset. And I encourage you, I challenge you to spend time to reflect on where is that lid that I've set right now? And is it time for us to raise that level, for me to stop thinking about the way of things, how they've always been, and especially in this pandemic, in this way that we need to start thinking about how we do things differently. Is there opportunity involved? And is this a chance for us to think outside the box and not in the constraints that we've sometimes set ourselves in? So as you're going through the different challenges that you've got going through this, think about the idea about problem blindness. Think about Chicago public schools. Maybe it's said out loud in a meeting, and maybe you've said it in your heart. That's the way we've always done it, and we can't do anything differently. It's just the way it is. Catch yourself in that and maybe think a little bit differently about what you might say the next time. And the second thing is that law of the lid. Don't settle for something that you might think that is the way that can't go above that. Raise that lid, go above that, go above that potential that you know that's out there to do what's best for kids.